I'm swirling ice in my water when my mother aims a smile at my sister and knifes me with a sentence. Lena, you'll never be Violet. The room goes weightless. Light scatters off the crystal glasses. Forks hover mid-air. I keep my face still and my hand steady. I won't give her the flinch she wants. We're here on a random Wednesday to celebrate Violet's promotion. Creative director at 29. She looks flawless in a cobalt dress and blowout curls that never wilt. I came straight from a 12-hour sprint, still in my gray blazer, still smelling like burnt coffee. Dad clears his throat at the end of the table. Your mother just means different strengths. He studies his salmon like it might offer him a better line. Different strengths. That's the family code for Violet shines. Lena holds the flashlight. Something in me clicks. Not rage, not even sadness. A switch. I set my glass down and pull a folded envelope from my bag. The paper has lived there for 3 days, soft at the edges from second thoughts. I paid your mortgage again last month, I say, laying the statement between the candles. I've paid most months for 2 years. Mom Helena, to the rest of the world, Mom, only when she's soft, doesn't blink. She waves a hand like she's shooing a fly. That's what family does. Violet has to focus. Big job, big clients. Violet's smile falters. Mom, it's fine, Helena cuts in, pearls shining at her throat. The pearls are the set I bought last Christmas. She said they were a bit fussy, then wore them to every party I funded. Dad Robert offers a cough that sounds like surrender. Temporary help, kiddo. You know how tight it got when the market dipped. I stare at the mahogany table that hosted birthdays, apologies, and 1,000 small lies. 2 years isn't temporary, I say. My voice surprises me. Calm. Even. I pull more papers from my bag and fan them like cards. Transfers. Canceled checks. Auto pays with my name. These aren't favors. This is a system. Violet looks between us. Wait, why am I hearing this now? Because I kept hoping this was love misfiled as logistics. Because if I said it out loud, I'd have to do something about it. Helena leans in, voice gentle, the way a scalpel is smooth. Lena, you chose stability, data analysis, benefits. You're good with money. Violet's career needs lift. There it is, the family math. My effort equals their oxygen. A memory pops like a flashbulb. Violet's graduation, they surprised her with a month in Europe and a designer suitcase. My graduation year, a planner with Go Get 'em stamped in gold. I smiled for photos anyway, I always do. I slide the statement back toward me. I'm taking a break, I tell them. From dinners, from payments. The air smacks the table. Dad's face goes red. Violet drops her gaze to the linen. Helena's smile freezes, then cracks at the edges. You'll regret this, she says, voice low. Family is all that matters. If this is family, I answer standing, then I'm in the wrong house. I don't slam the door. I don't cry in the car. I drive home and eat cold noodles over the sink like a person deciding not to drown. A week of silence follows. No calls from my parents. A few confused texts from Violet. Then Thursday, Helena rings like nothing happened. Come help me sort tax paperwork, she says. You're a whiz with spreadsheets. Compliment with a bruise behind it. I almost say no. I say yes because old patterns are sticky. Her home office smells like lemon polish and printer ink. Piles of paper, sticky notes with bossy arrows. I start stacking by year, then by account. I don't mean to snoop. I'm hunting W-2S when my name stops me cold. A student loan statement, Violet's Loans, a $19,800 payment 3 months ago, source account mine. My routing number, my last 4 digits. My fingers go pins and needles. I flip to the next page, car insurance, 2 payments, my bank again. Then a credit card bill with clothing and client dinners. My heart thuds hard enough to shake the papers. Boot steps in the hall. Helena appears in the doorway, pearls bright against a white blouse. Find the interest forms. She follows my eyes to the statement in my hand. Her expression isn't guilt. It's annoyance at being interrupted. What is this? My voice sounds thin, far away. Dad steps in behind her, glasses on his forehead like a crown he forgot to take off. Violet hovers in the hall, still scrolling. Helena glides to the desk and taps the stack with a manicured nail. We handled what needed handling. With my money, I say, without asking. Lena, Dad says, palms out peacemaker posture. Transportation is necessary for Violet's role, and her loans were urgent. I hold up the card bill. Is urgent a $300 dinner on a Thursday? Presentation matters. Helena replies. Do you want your sister to look shabby in front of clients? Violet finally pockets her phone. I didn't ask for this. She glances at Helena. You said Lena was happy to help. I laugh. It doesn't sound kind. I'm still paying my own loans. I postponed a dental crown because I couldn't afford it. Different choices. Helena says serene. Your path is secure. Violet's requires investment. There it is again. The ledger I live in and they spend. Something new settles in my bones. Not a breakdown. A blueprint. I slide the statements into a neat pile face down. I'm done, I say. Period. Helena's mouth opens, closes. She reaches for a tone I know too well sweet at the top poison below. Don't be dramatic. I stand. I'm being exact. At home, I spread 2 years of transactions across my small kitchen table. The surface vanishes under highlights and dates. Mortgage payments, utilities, car insurance, tuition, restaurants that never saw my face. My math brain clicks on like a generator. I build a spreadsheet. Columns for date payee category, who benefited, who decided. A total crawls across the bottom like a snake. I finally see $62,300. I sit back and watch the number breathe. I make copies. I label folders. I start a timeline. When the guilt rush hits, because it always does, I call the 2 people who don't make me prove my hurt. Noor from my team, who reminds me that healthy families don't hide transactions. Mateo, my neighbor who waters my plants when I forget who says I've got Thai food. Come over. We'll sort as long as it takes. We sort. We eat. We sort more. Every few minutes I find another small theft dressed as love. I write down phrases Helena uses so often I hear them in my sleep. Be a team player. Don't embarrass us. You're good at this. I circled the day my own student loan fell to minimum due because the rest went to their emergency. I didn't notice then. I do now. The next morning, a group chat lights up relatives I haven't seen since last year. Family meeting tonight. Emergency. We need to talk about the mortgage. The invites arrive like subpoenas. I don't answer. At noon, my phone rings with a number I know from childhood, Uncle Theo. He once taught me to ride a bike by running behind me and never letting go until I could balance alone. He clears his throat. Kiddo, your mother says you've gone cold. I set a boundary, I say. The words feel new. Good. Theo is quiet a beat. Good. Bring your numbers. Don't let them tell the story for you. That night, I build a binder black, 3 inches thick, tabbed by category. Mortgage, loans, insurance, cards, transfers, notes. It looks like a case file because it is. I tuck it into my tote and sleep with the light on. When I wake, there's a text from Violet. Can we talk before tonight? I stare at the screen until it goes dark. Part of me wants to let her in. Part of me can't keep teaching a grown woman how not to benefit from my silence. I pour coffee. I choose a navy dress that makes me feel competent and a little dangerous. I put the binder in the passenger seat like a friend. At a red light, I picture the dining room, the polished wood, the heavy chairs, the chandelier that throws pretty patterns while people pretend. I hear Helena's voice in my head, sweet as icing, sharp as glass. I see Dad's shrug. I see myself at 17 taking the bus to my job while Violet got dropped off at lessons in a car with a ribbon on it. I didn't know then how those ribbons tie your hands. The light turns green. I go. Tonight is their emergency. Tomorrow, it will be mine no longer. I park 2 houses down and sit with the engine ticking. I'm 31, old enough to sign mortgages, apparently young enough to be treated like one. The binder rides shotgun like a co-pilot. Tabs, receipts, totals I can't unsee. Helena's door is unlocked as always. Lemon polish, cold air. The chandelier hums. Violet is already there in a cream blazer, hair-pinned phone face down for once. Robert stands at the head of the table like a reluctant judge. Helena smiles the way she does for neighbors she doesn't like. You're early. I brought records. I place the binder in the center. It thuds. The sound travels. No one sits. We orbit the wood like planets avoiding gravity. I open to the first tab. Mortgage. 24 payments. My signature in ink. The yellow highlighter glows like hazard tape. Lena Roberts starts soothing, no one doubts your generosity. This isn't generosity, I say, sliding the summary page forward. It's $62,300. Violet's eyes flick to the number, then to me 62. 300, I add. No one laughs. Helena folds her hands. We could have tracked better, she allows, like she's discussing an appetizer we over-ordered. But families move money. It all evens out. It didn't, I say. My voice stays level. I brought a calculator so I wouldn't have to raise it. I paid your house to keep a roof over your heads. I paid Violet's loans while my own interest accrued. I covered insurance, cards, utilities. You didn't ask. You told. Violet finds her seat slowly. She looks different without the performance. Why didn't you tell me, she asks. Not accusatory. Small. Because every time I started, Mom would say I was making it about me. I flip a tab. Student loans. $19,800 to your lender in March alone. Pulled from my account. I discovered the autopay when I came to do taxes. Robert fidgets with his glasses. We meant to reimburse. With what I pivot a sheet toward him. This checking account is overdrawn every third week. Helena's smile tightens. Tone Lena. No, I say. Facts. We sit. The chairs creak like old ships. I move to the credit cards tab. Clothing, dinners, hotels. You said clients. Many charges are weekends. Vegas 5 weeks ago. I covered your property tax that same weekend. Violet flinches. She wasn't told about that part either. I see it in her shoulders. Presentation matters, Helena says unfazed. Do you want people to think we're struggling? We are, I say, just not you. A knock rattles the door. No one expects anyone. Helena huffs and goes herself. I hear a child's voice, then Mrs. Klein's. The neighbor's boy Toby peeks around Helena's skirt, clutching an envelope. This was in our box, he says. Dad said it looked important. Helena takes it with a sugary thank you, shuts the door, and sets the envelope beside the candles. Bank logo. Robert reaches for it. I get there first. I don't tear. I slide a nail under the seal and open it like a surgeon. Inside, a quarterly statement for an account I don't recognize. Not the overdrawn one. A money market. Robert's name. Balance $41,940.27. My hands go still. Helena sees the number and goes carefully blank. Robert's face empties, then fills with color. Violet's voice is a whisper. What is that? An emergency fund, Robert says too fast. Since when I ask, he lifts his chin. It's not your business. I place the statement on the binder right on top of my total. I paid your emergencies, I say softly. You kept your comfort. Helena recovers first. We were protecting the family. If we drained savings, we could lose the house. You still might, I answer, but you won't use me to delay it. Violet leans forward, palms flat on the table. Mom! Dad, why didn't you tell me there was money? You told me Lena's salary made things easier. You said she loved helping. Her eyes find mine. They don't dodge. I let myself believe it. Robert doesn't look up. We couldn't risk panic, he says. Violet's promotion needed a clean runway. I turn to her, not them. You weren't the pilot, I say. You were the plane they kept pushing down the runway with my fuel. A key scrapes. Uncle Theo steps in like he's done it forever. He doesn't ask permission. He nods to me, then to Violet, then sets a paper bag on the sideboard. I brought sandwiches, he says lightly. People talk more honestly when chewing. Helena bristles. Theo. He holds up a hand. I'll listen first. I slide the binder toward him. He scans the tabs with a contractor's focus. Mortgage, loans, cards, notes. The money market statement sits on top like a dare. Theo whistles under his breath at the balance. That's some cushion for a family that's barely making it. Robert straightens. That account is mine. Theo's eyebrows lift. You're married, Rob. There's no mine when you're pulling your daughter's direct deposits. Helena shifts tactics. Lena's painting this unfairly. She never wanted the spotlight. She's the steady one. She said so herself. I said I could be depended on, I reply. You heard expendable. Theo flips to a section I labeled guilt scripts. He reads a few lines aloud, not mocking. Just true. Be a team player. Don't embarrass us. Your sister's future is the family's future. He sets the page down like it's hot. Helena, this is manipulation. Helena's smile vanishes. You don't get to call me abusive in my home. I didn't, he says. I called this manipulation because it is. The room goes still. Violet's breathing goes shaky. She points at the Vegas charges. We toasted the promotion, she says quietly, and we used Lena's money to do it. Helena's tone sharpens. Enough self-pity. Violet, you needed to be seen. In our circles, optics are reality. Then your optics are bad, I say, because reality is catching up. My phone buzzes. A text from Noor Breathe. You have your math. Another from Mateo Front Porch if you need backup. I picture them like anchors on either coast of my panic. I set the phone face down. Here's what happens next, Helena declares, seizing the head of the table with both hands. Lena resumes mortgage payments through summer. Violet covers groceries. We reassess in fall. No, I say. She blinks as if the word is a foreign currency. Excuse me? No. I keep my tone even. There is no reassessing. There is no resuming. The transfers stop. Today. Robert's chair scrapes. You'll sink your own family. You already did, I answer. You just used my account as flotation. Theo clears his throat. Let's talk solutions that don't involve tapping Lena. Sell the Lexus. Cancel the club membership. Pull from the money market for the arrears and get a real budget. Helena's eyes flash. The club is our network. It's an invoice, I say. Violet looks between faces, then at the binder. I can take my loans back, she says, swallowing. And the car insurance. And the card. She pushes her phone toward Helena. I'll call the bank to remove the autopay. Don't be dramatic, Helena snaps. Violet's voice hardens. I'm being exact. For a second, pride warms my chest in a place shame used to live. Robert turns to me, voice low. Think about Christmas, birthdays. Are you ready to lose the only people who show up? I won't lose anyone who sees me as a person, I say. I might lose a few accounts. Theo leans back. There's a word for what Lena's done here. It's not betrayal, it's boundaries. A silence lands, heavy but breathable. Violet breaks it. Mom, if you keep pushing, I'm not coming to Sunday dinners. Helena's head whips toward her, stunned by the wrong daughter's rebellion. The front door opens again. Mateo steps in, hesitant, holding a manila envelope like a white flag. He looks at me. You left these copies at my place, he says. I thought... He stops when he sees everyone. Hi. Helena bristles. Who is this? My neighbor, I say, my friend. Robert's mouth twists. So now outsiders are involved. Mateo sets the envelope on the table and gives me a quick nod. Do you need me to stay? I weigh the room. The binder, the balance, the trembling in Violet's fingers that isn't fear anymore. I'm okay, I say. He squeezes my shoulder and goes. The door clicks like a period. Theo opens the manila envelope and slides out the copies. On top is a printout of a post from Violet's feed. Vegas, cocktails, glitter, caption blessed. Under it, a calendar I made that shows those dates lined up with the property tax transfer. The juxtaposition lands like a verdict. Violet stares at the 2 pages. I can't pretend I didn't benefit, she says. I did. I'm sorry. Helena exhales through her nose. Don't perform guilt, Violet. It's tacky. I close the binder, slowly, deliberately. Meeting's over, I say. Here are my terms. I will not pay another bill. I will not be on any autopay. If you contact my bank pretending to be me, I will file a report. I look from Helena to Robert. And if you speak about me as the ungrateful one to the family, I will send this binder as a PDF to everyone who asks. Robert's voice goes flat. You would humiliate your mother. I meet Helena's eyes. She did that without my help. Theo stands. I'll walk Lena out. At the doorway, Violet's voice follows me. Will you pick up if I call? I pause. Turn. The old part of me wants to say yes to everything. The new part checks the math. If you're calling to talk like an adult, I say yes. Her chin lifts. I will. Outside, the evening smells like wet grass. Theo waits until we're at my car. Proud of you, he says. They'll push harder before they back off. That's how walls fall. Do they ever change, I ask. Sometimes, he says. Sometimes you do, and that's enough. My phone pings again. A new message from an unknown number. This is Harrison Violet's fiancé. I heard there was drama. Are you okay? The innocent, I think. Or maybe just another person late to the truth. I type back, I'm okay. We're recalibrating. I sit in the driver's seat and let the quiet fill me. My hands don't shake. The switch that flipped at dinner last week stays down. The system is off. As I pull away, the porch light blazes behind me like a lighthouse I won't sail toward again. Tomorrow, I'll call my bank. I'll lock every login and kill every autopay. I'll send Violet a list of the accounts she needs to reclaim. I'll block Helena for a week so my ribs can stop clenching. And then, because fear is loud and hope is gentle, I'll open the email I've kept starred for months. The one with a subject line that sounds like a new life. The email waits in my starred folder, like a door with light under it. Subject offer, Senior Data Architect, Harbor North Analytics, Seattle. I read it twice. Then again, base salary, signing bonus, relocation, a start date 4 weeks out, remote first month if needed. A calm, professional paragraph that feels like a hand on my back saying go. I sit very still. The apartment hums, the fridge clicks. My heart tries to outrun everything I know. I was never supposed to take an offer like this. Not because I couldn't, because it didn't fit the family math. I was the steady one, the one who stayed, the one who understood that Violet needed lift and I provided weather. I forward the email to my personal account and close the laptop, palms sweaty. Noor finds me in the break room later, face haloed by the vending machine glow. "You look like you swallowed a light bulb," she says. "I got an offer," I say. Seattle. Her eyes spark. Title. Senior Data Architect. Comp. I tell her. Noor whistles. "That's Market Plus. Sign it." I'm scared, I admit. The word tastes odd in my mouth, not weak, honest. Noor leans on the counter. "I've seen your dashboards. Fear doesn't change your numbers. Your mother does." I laugh one short puff. She'll call it abandonment. She'll call any boundary betrayal, Noor says, soft, but not gentle. Pick the label that actually saves your life. I text Uncle Theo from the parking lot. Me offer came through. Theo proud already. Expect a pushback storm. People double down when the ATM shrugs. Me, I know. Theo. Take the job, Lena. The rest is noise. That night, Helena leaves 2 voicemails I don't answer. The first is sugared. "Sweetheart, we miss you at dinner. Come by Sunday." The second is sharp. "Your father is worried about the mortgage. Don't make us beg." I open my bank app and change every password. 2-factor on everything. New email for primary recovery. I kill the autopays. I call the bank and ask for a note on my profile. No third-party authorizations. No verbal approvals. Requests must be in branch with ID. The teller sounds bored, which somehow comforts me. My crisis is paperwork to her. Good. On the way home, I stop at a locksmith. 3 new keys. Landlord notified. The past will need an appointment. Violet texts near midnight. Violet. "Can I call me tomorrow?" Noon. "Lunch, Violet?" "Yes, I'll come to you." I don't sleep. I watch the window shade all night, the city lights shifting like thought. Morning brings small courage. I print the offer and set it on the table beside my mug. I sign nothing yet. I want one more piece of clarity before I jump. At noon, Violet arrives early, as if the old script still tugs her toward impressive punctuality. She wears jeans, sneakers, no armor. It makes her look younger. Honest. She stands just inside the door, twisting her hands. I removed the autopays, she says. Loans, card, insurance. I called and changed them. "You'll get confirmations." "Good," I say. Her gaze lands on the printed offer. She reads the header. Seattle. A small smile ghosts across her mouth. "That fits you." I blink. "You think so?" "You like distance that keeps you honest," she says. "You think clearer when you can see the whole map." We sit. She picks at the label on her water bottle. "Mom told me last night that you're unstable with money," she says, voice tight. "She told Harrison that too. She asked him to talk you into doing 1 more month, just until after the wedding deposit." My stomach goes cold. She said I'm unstable. She said you make emotional decisions, Violet says. That you use money for attention. I choke out a laugh. Not kind, that's rich. "Yeah," Violet says. "It is. We eat sandwiches in small bites. Between us sits the paper that will redraw my life." Lena Violet says finally. "Harrison wants to talk to you. Alone. He says there's stuff you should know. I told him not to push, but he's worried I won't see it." "What stuff?" "He'll tell you." She hesitates. "I didn't know about the money market account. I didn't know about the Vegas timing. I didn't know a lot of things. I let myself not know." She meets my eyes. "I'm sorry." The apology lands simple and heavy. I nod once. "Thank you." We clear the plates. Violet heads for the door, then turns. "If you take Seattle, will you tell me first? Not Mom, not Dad." "Yes," I say. After she leaves, the apartment holds a different quiet. Not dread, potential. Harrison chooses a cafe across town that makes pastries shaped like boats. He arrives early, hands in jacket pockets. earnest face open in that way people have when they think honesty can fix everything. He is a decent man engaged to my sister. He is also the person Helena thinks she can recruit. We order coffee. We sit by the window. Street noise rises and falls like surf. I ask to meet because I don't want to be part of whatever this is, he says, then flushes as if he already worries he's offended me. You're not offending me, I say. You're telling me where you stand. Harrison nods. Your mother called me 3 times last week, he says. She told me to keep you on board for the mortgage through summer. She said if you loved Violet, you'd help create a calm runway to the wedding. She also said you're temperamental with finances. My hands flatten on my cup. Go on. She wanted me to add her to a new joint savings Violet and I opened for the wedding, he says, eyes on the table. I said no. She told me I was dividing the family. I stare at him. The audacity is almost art. I'm not telling you this to stir more trouble, Harrison says quickly. I'm telling you so you can make choices with the truth. I love Violet. I want us to start clean. No secrets. No pressure masked as tradition. He swallows. And I'm sorry I toasted in Vegas with someone else's money. I didn't know. I should have asked. I let the apology land. Thank you, I say, for being direct. He sits back relieved and also sad. Your mother will hate me for telling you, he says. She'll hate anyone who interrupts her script, I say. Get used to it. When I get home, the offer is still on the table. I open my laptop. I sign. The cursor blinks. I hit send. A rush floods my chest, hot and clean. A minute later, a reply, welcome aboard, we're thrilled. The words glow. I draft my resignation next. 2 weeks. I keep it short, clear, polite. I email it to my manager Priya, then walk to her office. She looks up as I knock. Got a minute, I ask. For you always, she says. I hand her the letter. Her eyebrows lift. Then she smiles. Tell me you're leaving for something that knows your worth. Seattle, I say. Harbor North. Priya stands and hugs me. Simple. Uncomplicated. No strings. I'll be your reference forever, she says into my shoulder. You've been carrying 2 teams' worth of work with half the noise. I learned that at home, I say, and we both laugh. Back at my desk, I make a list cancel utilities in a month, give notice to the landlord, sell the couch that hurts my back. Ship the books I actually read. I text Mateo. Moving sale. You get first dibs. He responds with 9 clapping emojis, and I'm bringing a truck. By evening, Helena escalates. She texts a photo of a floral centerpiece. Picking colors with Violet. Your contribution would make it magical. 10 minutes later, you're punishing me through your sister. An hour after that, we need to know your plan for the house. Be an adult. I don't reply. Silence is a tool, not a tantrum. I gather documents for the move. Birth certificate, passport, the title to my car. 1 folder is missing. I know it lives in my parents' house, a blue accordion file labeled Lena School. It holds transcripts, immunizations awards I forgot to be proud of. I'll need it for HR. I don't want to ask. So I don't. I go get it. I drive over at 9 when I know Helena is usually out with her book club, and Robert watches baseball with the volume up. The porch light burns. The code still works. Inside smells like lemon and a little bit like dust. I move fast. Office, bottom drawer, blue file, found. I flip it open to check contents and a manila envelope slides free. No label. Inside photocopies of checks from 15 years ago. College fund written in Helena's pretty script. Pay to the order of AutoStar dealership. Note, down payment Violet's car. My name is crossed out on the envelope. In tidy ink above it, reallocated. My fingers go cold. There's a yellow sticky note inside too. Lena got scholarships. She won't mind. We'll make it up to her later. The note is to Robert. The date is the month before my sophomore year. I sit in the office chair. The leather breathes. The house creaks. A version of me at 19 stares across time holding a campus map and a loan offer. She didn't know why tuition felt heavier than promised. Reallocated, I whisper, like I was a budget line, not a child. I photograph everything. I put the envelope back where I found it and take only my file. On the way out, I see a list tacked inside a kitchen cabinet right next to the Spice's wedding budget. Venue, flowers, band, mortgage hold until August. Someone wrote that last item in red. I leave as the game announcer shouts from the den. The porch creaks under my feet. Toby from next door waves from his stoop. Hi, Miss Lena, he chirps. I lift a hand back. The innocent ones always wave. At home, I drop the blue file on my table and stare at the ceiling until my eyes ache. I want to be furious. I'm tired instead. Anger is work. Clarity is rest. I email copies of the reallocated envelope to a private folder. I title it History. I don't know if I'll ever show Violet. I don't know if I have to. Some weights are for me to put down without witnesses. 3 days pass in a blur of grown-up tasks. HR packets, lease termination, box hunting behind the grocery store. Mateo shows up with tape and a playlist. Noor comes with labels and snacks. We build a fort out of cardboard and jokes. Helena's messages tilt from scolding to syrup to storm. Robert sends a single text, "Think about Christmas." I do. I picture a December where I'm not calculating which bill I'll cover as a gift. It looks like light. Violet calls from outside a florist. I told Mom I'm paying for my own dress, she says. She said I was trying to humiliate her. How does paying your own bill humiliate someone else, I ask. She says it implies she can't. Violet answers, then sighs. She also told the Hendersons you're having a breakdown. Let her, I say. Facts outlive gossip. Violet is quiet a second. Harrison and I are moving the wedding to something smaller, she says. Fewer eyes, fewer obligations, more us. A small ridiculous hope flares. Not about weddings, about Violet saying us and meaning her and Harrison, not her and Helena. That night, Theo stops by with takeout and a tape measure. He looks at the stacked boxes like a coach before a game. "You're doing it," he says, pride warm in his voice. "I signed, I say," Priya cried. "Noor brought cookies. Mateo claims my stereo." He grins, then he sobers. "Your mother left me 6 messages," he says. "The last one said I'm egging you on like this is a prank." "What did you tell her?" "That I'll carry the other end of the couch on moving day," he says. We eat on the floor. Theo walks the rooms afterward, tapping the baseboards with his toe, checking the windows, the locks. "Do you have all the spare keys?" he asks. "Anyone else with access?" "Violet has one," I say, "from years ago. You want it back." "I trust her," I say. Saying it out loud feels like setting something down where it can't be kicked. The night before I give notice publicly, I sit with a stack of postcards, the old-fashioned kind. I write 10. Noor, Mateo, Priya, Theo, myself. You left. You stayed kind. You didn't return to the fire just to prove you're flameproof. I'm sealing the last one when a soft sound breaks the quiet. My doorknob moves. Slow, careful. A key slips into the lock. I stand heart-thudding every lesson I've ever learned about doors and respect and boundaries running toward the peephole. The deadbolt is on. The chain is set. The lock turns and stalls against the chain. A voice on the other side, small and shaking. "Lena, it's me. Please." It's Violet. Not calling, not texting. At my door with a duffel bag and tear-smeared mascara like a warning flare. I slide the chain off and open the door 2 inches. "What happened?" She looks over her shoulder as if the hallway itself might listen. "I left," she says. "Mom told me to choose. I chose." Her choice stands there breathing hard in the hallway. Behind it, a whole life shifts. I open the door wider. "Come in," I say. Violet stands in my doorway with a duffel and a shaking breath. "Did she hurt you?" I ask. "No," she says. "She cornered me. She said pick a side. I picked." I move aside. She steps in. Her shoes squeak on my mat. Rain freckles her blazer. I lock the door behind her and slide the chain. My apartment smells like cardboard and citrus cleaner. Boxes are stacked like small buildings along the wall. "Couch pulls out," I say. "Shower's hot. Towels are in the basket." She nods. Her eyes are glassy. She grips the strap until her knuckles blanch. "I told Harrison I needed a night away," she says, voice small. "He offered the guest room. Mom said that would look bad to the family." I hand her a mug. "Chamomile. Honey, nothing fancy. You can look bad for the right reasons," I say. She laughs and then covers her mouth like the sound might call someone. "She tried to add your name to our venue contract," Violet says, rushing. "As a secondary guarantor." The planner handed me the form. I saw it. I said no. Mom said, "Don't be ungrateful. Lena supports you because she loves you." I told her love shouldn't sign for what it doesn't own. I feel the line settle between us like a brick we are both allowed to stand on. She told me to choose Violet Whispers, her version of family or whatever this is. "This," I say, "this is 2 adults in a room with tea." I set out a blanket. Violet steps into the bathroom. Water runs. Night presses its face against my window. The city hums distant and indifferent. My phone buzzes. Helena. Then Robert. Then blocked. Then unknown. I flip it face down. Violet emerges in my spare t-shirt drowning in fabric. "I'll call Harrison," she says. "I'll tell him I'm safe." "Do that," I say. "Text Theo too." She types. Waits. Harrison says good. Theo says proud of both of you. I'm nearby if needed. We sleep badly, if at all. Violet on the pull-out, me 3 feet away on the floor by choice because being close helps. The building creaks. Pipes sigh. At 2:15 a.m., my phone lights again. Helena's voicemail lands like a stone in a clear pond. Lena, her voice snaps thin with fury she can't hide. "You're poisoning your sister against us. Bring her home. Be an adult." I delete it. Violet stares at the ceiling. She hates when we choose anything she didn't storyboard, she says. "We can write our own boards," I answer. Dawn arrives pale and damp. Violet makes coffee like she's rehearsing being normal. I fry eggs. We eat standing forks, tapping plates like kids hiding in a kitchen. After Violet knots her hair into a bun with quick, decisive moves I haven't seen on her since we were teens. "I need my passport," she says. "Birth certificate. The health insurance card." She keeps them. In the office bottom drawer. Also, Violet sinks her teeth into her lower lip. "There's a safe." I look up, a safe. "In her closet," she says. "Fireproof. She hides the good papers there." I don't know the code. I think Dad does. I think of the blue accordion file, the manila envelope with reallocated, the money market statement we opened at the table, the word "since when" ringing through my head. "We can go," I say. Theo meets us there. We get what's ours and go. Violet hesitates. She'll be home. Then we let daylight see what it needs to see, I say. No sneaking, no shame. Theo texts back immediately. 15 minutes. I'll wait on the curb, in case a buffer helps. We drive in a shoebox of rain. The wipers beat time with my heart. Violet's hands are steady on her lap. She looks more like herself with each mile. When we turn onto our parents' street, the air sharpens in my lungs. Gravel crackles under my tires. The hedges look too neat. Helena opens the door before we knock. Pearls, pressed blouse, eyes like polished stone. Robert looms behind her, jaw-set glasses correctly perched. "I'm here for my documents," Violet says. "And Lena's." Helena looks past her to me. "You're not welcome," she says. "I'm not asking for a seat," I answer. "I'm here to collect." Theo steps up the walk holding a folder and a donut bag like a shield. "Morning," he says mildly. "I'll stay out of the way." Helena's mouth thins. "Violet, come in. Lena, wait outside." "No," Violet says. "We go where the papers are, together." The foyer smells like lemon and something burnt. The chandelier throws rainbows on the tile. My chest tightens and then loosens, as if my ribs remember they can choose. We move to the office. Bottom drawer, blue file. Violet hands me my school folder like a prize. Behind it, a maroon binder labeled House. I pull it. Insurance, taxes, a tab labeled Improvements that is blank, a tab labeled Equity that isn't. My name appears on a page I've never seen. Home Equity Line of Credit Authorized User. The signature looks like mine on a day my hand would not obey. It's not mine. My throat goes dry. What is this? Helena swoops a hand toward the paper. A formality, she says. The bank needed an authorized user listed for the line. No one used it. Theo lifts the sheet, holds it to the light. The pen pressure is wrong. The L is loopy, not the clean stroke I make when I sign. The date sits in a month I was in Chicago for work. I see the hotel in my head, the snow, the room service burger. I wasn't in this office. I wasn't at this table. "You forged me," I say. "It isn't a question." Robert lifts his hands. "We would never." "You did," Theo says, voice flat. This is not her hand. Also Helena, the notary stamp is Mrs. Klein's. Helena stiffens. She witnessed the form. "She witnessed a forgery," Theo says. "That's not witnessing, that's a crime." The room goes quiet in a way that makes sound expand. I hear the AC tick. I hear rain slot against glass. I hear my heartbeat in my ears. Violet breathes like she forgot how. "Mom," she says. "What did you do?" Helena clings to her script. "We protected our asset," she says. "We always planned to tell Lena, after the wedding." No one used the line. Theo flips a page. "A draw for $3,500, he reads. 6 months ago. Interior decor vendor A. paid to Rose and Pine events. The wedding planner. Violet sags. No. Helena's voice is steel wrapped in lace. It was a placeholder deposit. We were going to reimburse. It was for the family. Not your money, I say. The words are simple. They feel like iron in my mouth. Not your name, not your right. Robert's anger flares as a cover for shame. Enough, he barks. We've done everything for this family. We're not monsters. You're not monsters, I say. You're opportunists. You take where it's softest. You call it love. Helena reaches toward Violet. Honey, don't make this ugly. It is ugly, Violet says, stepping back. We just turned on a light. Robert tries another tack. If you call the bank, this becomes permanent. Are you ready to ruin your mother's reputation? Your father's credit? Your sister's wedding? I'm ready to stop paying for a story where I'm the villain for not bleeding on cue, I say. Theo lays the HELOC packet in the binder. He closes it like a book that should never have been written. We're taking copies, he says. You can keep the originals. We'll let the institution verify signatures. We don't need to scream. Paper talks. Helena laughs high and strange. You think a banker will choose you over me? I think a banker will choose the law, I say. Violet wipes her face with her wrist, smearing mascara into brave stripes. She walks to the closet. She opens the door like she's done it 1,000 times. On the top shelf, behind a stack of sweaters that still smell like department store air, sits a black fireproof safe. Heavy, boxy, stupid with secrets. What's the code, she asks, turning to Helena. None of your business, Helena says. Violet looks at Robert. He looks at the floor. Dad. He rubs his jaw, wavering. Your mother keeps it. Of course she does, I say. I bend. The safe's keypad blinks red. Violet tries birthdays, anniversaries, the house number. Nothing. I think of the way Helena does math. Where she stores steps she wants to keep. A date drops into my mind like a penny in a glass the day I started my first job. I punch in 0612. June 12th. The safe chirps. The light goes green. The lock clicks. The sound is a door in my body swinging open. Helena's face drains. Robert makes a sound like a man who just watched his own bridge burn. Inside folders. A Ziploc baggie of thumb drives. An envelope labeled POA. I pick it up. Limited power of attorney, Lena M. Halpern to Helena K. Halpern. Notarized. Witnessed. My signature again wrong. The L loops. The N crawls. The date is my birthday. She did it on my birthday. The room tilts a degree. I steady myself with a hand on the shelf. Did you give my mother power over your accounts? Theo asks me gently. No, I say. The word comes out like gravel. Violet looks like she might be sick. Mom, she whispers. Did you pretend to be Lena? Helena's mask slips and something raw snarls underneath. You think I enjoyed this? She spits. Do you think it was fun to manage everything while you two floated? I held this family together with my hands. Your father, she flicks a hand toward him, checked out. You, she points at me, have always been difficult. You needed direction. I needed a mother, I say, not a manager with my password. Robert takes a step forward. Enough! No, Violet says, and her voice has steel I have never heard. We aren't children. We aren't accounts. We're done. Theo checks the thumb drives. He doesn't plug anything in. He just slides them into a new envelope labeled in his careful print for attorney. He meets my eyes. We'll freeze your credit today, he says. We'll file a fraud alert. We'll get a lawyer not to scorch earth but to draw lines in permanent ink. Helena's laugh goes bright and brittle. You'll drag our name through the mud. You already did, I say. You just called it rain. The doorbell rings. 3 sharp notes. The sound jolts everyone. No one moves. It rings again. Then a small voice pipes up through the wood. Miss Helena. My dad said this came to our box again. Toby, the innocent messenger with stamps on his hands. Robert strides to the door, eager for any interruption. He opens it. Toby stands on the matte raincoat too big, holding a thin FedEx envelope with my name typed in a neat sans serif font. Lena M. Halpern, care of the bank. Robert freezes. I walk past him and kneel to be at Toby's height. Thanks, buddy, I say, and take it gently. Tell your dad he has a good aim with mail. Okay, Toby beams and skips back to his porch. I close the door and turn the envelope over. Robert reaches. I step away. I tear it open with my thumb paper soft in my wet hands. Inside a welcome packet for your new joint account with my name and Helena's beneath in bold, a signature card, a printout of an online authorization. The IP address is printed in gray along the bottom. The city listed is ours. The timestamp is a Tuesday at 2:08 p.m., the same Tuesday I presented at work to 50 people in a conference room that had a view of clouds. Theo exhales. Well, he says quietly, that's the ball game. Helena's face works through shapes, shock calculation, contempt. She lands on contempt. You're overreacting, she says. It's not a crime to make sure bills get paid. It is when you do it while pretending to be me, I say. That's identity theft. Robert's eyes flick to the safe, to the binder, to the thumb drives now bagged in Theo's hands. Panic nips at his edges. We can fix this, he says. We'll call the bank together. We'll explain. No, I say. I'll call. You'll listen. Helena draws herself up. If you do, don't expect us at your new life. Don't expect us at your wedding. Don't expect us at your... I don't expect you, I say. I expect myself. We take what is ours. Passports, birth certificates, immunization records, the blue file, copies of the HELOC packet, a photo of the reallocated envelope tucked in my pocket like an old truth finally warm. Theo carries the envelope marked for attorney, like it contains something alive. In the driveway, rain mists our hair. The air smells like wet soil and cut grass. The sky is a flat, ordinary blue beyond the cloud edge. It feels wrong the way the world goes on being itself while yours tilts. Violet holds her passport as if to convince her hands she can own it. I need to tell Harrison, she says, the whole thing. Tell him, I say, tell him everything. Start clean or don't start. Theo drives behind me to the bank. We take the corner slow. My car's heater clicks. My hands are steady, heart still fast, brain clear. The bank lobby is hushed and cold. A fake plant backlit by a window looks somehow relieved. We sit with a specialist named Aisha, who listens the way a good doctor does, eyes on mine hands, still pen ready but not running ahead. I believe my mother opened credit lines and accounts in my name, I say. I have documents. I did not authorize any of it. Aisha nods once. We'll make copies, she says. We'll file a fraud case. We'll pull the signature cards and IP logs. We'll place a hard hold on any account with disputed authorization. We'll freeze new credit applications across bureaus. We don't want to press charges, I add, startling myself. Not today. We want a wall. A wall is what we do best, Aisha says, and we'll give you copies of your own signature on file so you can compare. She leaves to scan. My breath fogs a little in the AC. Violet squeezes my hand under the desk. I'm sorry it's this bad, she whispers. It was always this bad, I say. It doesn't feel like blame. It feels like a diagnosis finally printed. Aisha returns with a folder. My signature on the old savings account card looks like home. Sharp L, clean N, even line. The forged one is a stranger wearing my coat wrong. It is obvious even to someone who has never met me. Aisha slides me a form. Initial here to trigger a fraud alert, she says. We'll ship you new cards to a different address. We'll switch your two-factor to a fresh email. When we leave, the sun has shouldered through the clouds. Wet sidewalks glitter. The bank doors hiss shut behind us. Theo stretches his back and looks at the wide, ordinary sky. You did it, he says. We started it, I say. There's more. He nods. There is. And you don't have to do it alone. Back at my place, Violet collapses onto the couch and wraps herself in the throw like a small sea creature finding a shell. Theo orders food we don't taste. I lay the documents on the table in rows. Births, lines, lies, walls. There is something holy about honest paperwork. Helena texts again at dusk. If you go to the bank, you will destroy us. I type back 3 words I never thought I'd send to my mother. Then build yourselves. No response. Harrison knocks at 8. He steps inside with flowers in a grocery sleeve and a tight face. He sees the papers and goes still. Oh, he says softly. It's real. It's real, Violet says. If you marry me, you marry the mess too. But I'm not going back. He sets the flowers down and takes her hand. Then we start small, he says. And we start honest. The 3 of us talk until midnight. Budgets. Boundaries, a new venue that costs 1/10 and cares twice, a list of relatives we actually enjoy. The word elopement floats through the room and no one swats it down. Before they leave, Violet hugs me. Not the brittle tap-tap we did at brunches. A hold. Thank you, she says, for opening the safe, for trying the code that belongs to you. It was always going to be my date, I say. She wanted to remember when she captured me. Now it's the day you let me out, Violet says. After they go, I wash 2 mugs and let the water run over my hands until they thaw. I look at the stack of boxes by the door. Seattle feels less like escape and more like a destination I earned. I sit on the floor with the reallocated photo. I say the word out loud once, then put the picture away. I don't need it to hurt me anymore to prove it happened. I text Theo. Thank you for standing in rooms with me. He replies, anytime. Sleep. The next part will require rest. I turn off the lights. The city hums. In the dark, my heart doesn't race. It clicks steady like a metronome set to a new song. Tomorrow I will draft an email to the extended family, not with rage, with facts, with dates, with numbers. I will not attach the binder yet. I will promise it like weather if clouds gather. Tomorrow I will call Priya and ask for my start date to move up 1 week. I will text Mateo and tell him we need more boxes. Tomorrow I will print 1 page, just one, and tape it to the inside of my front door. I am not your plan. Tonight I sleep, not the fitful doze of a person waiting to be useful. Sleep that lands and stays. When I wake, the sky will be the same stubborn blue, and I will be different. Morning light lays thin gold across my boxes. I brew coffee and write the email I've avoided for years. Subject clarifying. Recent family matters. I keep it clean. Dates, amounts. 2 years of transfers totaling $62,300. Unauthorized HELOC and POA opened in my name. Fraud alerts filed on date. I won't fund the mortgage wedding or any household bills. I don't attach the binder. I offer a single line. If anyone wishes to discuss, I'm available Saturday at noon with a neutral third party present. I copy Uncle Theo. I copy Violet. I leave Helena and Robert off. They know already. I hit send and feel a quiet click inside like a lock sliding. Replies begin at a human pace. Cousin Mira. Proud of you. We suspected something. Aunt Patricia. This sounds extreme. Families help. Theo. I'll arrange the neutral room. Violet, I'll be there. Helena texts within minutes, as if the email burned her fingers. How dare you air private matters? Then you want to humiliate us. Then you are unstable. I don't reply. Silence isn't anger. It's choosing the conversation I will have, not the one she demands. Theo calls. Conference room at my friend's office, he says. Saturday noon. She's an attorney. Calm, kind, clear. Thank you, I say. Bring the binder, he adds. Bring your calm. I spend the afternoon closing circles. HR confirms my start date can move up 1 week. Priya approves my early exit like it's a gift she's been dying to give. Mateo hauls another tower of boxes and puts sticky notes on anything he wants to claim. Noor shows up with curry and a tape gun. We pack and eat and label. Every object I put in a box feels like reclaiming inches of myself. At dusk, a message pings from Harrison. Venue now July Garden Small. Your call if you attend. We'll understand either way. Violet asked me to say thank you for the truth even when it hurts. I breathe out a knot I didn't know I was holding. Helena's posts appear on social like smoke signals, Bible verses about forgiveness, photos of hydrangeas. One captioned, "When your own turn against you, you pray." Underneath a few relatives type hearts, Mira comments a single period. It's more support than it looks. I sleep hard, no dreams, just darkness like deep water that holds you up. Saturday comes gray and cool. The office Theo borrowed sits on the second floor of a brick building that used to be a bakery. The hallway smells faintly of yeast and dust. A small sign on frosted glass reads Chen and Rowe. We sit in a conference room with a long table and a bowl of tired peppermint candies. On the wall hangs a print of a harbor mast's quiet water, a sky that refuses drama. Mara Chen shakes our hands. She's compact, composed eyes that miss nothing. My role today is facilitator, she says, not judge. We will speak plainly. We will write in ink. We will avoid shouting. That's non-negotiable. Helena and Robert arrive together, polished, tight. Helena's pearls flash. Robert's tie is too sharp for a Saturday. They take their seats like people arriving to renegotiate the universe. Mara opens a legal pad. Miss Halpern, she says to me, state what you need. I slide the binder forward and open to a page I can recite in my sleep. I need the following removal from all accounts and autopays I did not authorize. A cease and desist on using my name or signature. A signed, notarized acknowledgement that the HELOC and POA were opened without my consent, and a commitment to repay any draws not made by me. Agreement that I will not be asked to fund household bills or wedding expenses, and no contact for 30 days. I look at Helena, then Robert. If we can sign that today, I will not pursue criminal charges. Helena laughs a bright, brittle sound in the quiet room. You think you can extort us? Mara doesn't blink. Miss Halpern, there's no extortion here. Your daughter is offering not to file a police report if you sign a document acknowledging facts that are by the bank's records facts. Robert leans forward, performing reason. We didn't intend harm, he says. This is a misunderstanding. Mara slides 2 sheets across the table printouts of the signature card and IP log. Your misunderstanding carries a timestamp and an address, she says. This is a felony if pursued. The civil agreement Miss Halpern proposes is gracious. Helena stares at the IP address like it personally offended her. She's breaking this family, she whispers. No, Violet says, voice steady. You did that when you forged her name. Helena turns to her hurt, weaponized. You're speaking to me like a stranger. I'm speaking to you like an adult, Violet says. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't apologize for it either. Mara lays a draft on the table. Here's a starting point, she says. It includes cessation of unauthorized financial activity, a plan to repay the $3,500 draw from the HELOC, and an agreement that all future transactions require written consent from the parties named. No more verbal family favors that function as blank checks. Robert reads, jaw ticking. Helena doesn't touch the paper. We're not signing anything, she says. We will handle this as a family. No outsiders. The bank is not family, Mara says. The law is not family. Your neighbor's notary stamp is not family. And yet, here we are. For a moment, no one speaks. The air hums with a low current of old obedience dying. I push a pen toward them. This is the quiet way, I say. No Facebook, no police, no group texts, just ink and a path forward. Helena lifts her chin. I'm not letting you write me as the villain in your little narrative. I don't need a villain, I say. I need my life back. Robert tries another angle. What will people think, he asks, voice small around the edges for the first time. That you loved your image more than you protected your daughter's name, Violet says. Unless you sign. Mara folds her hands. You have choices, she says, voice even. I suggest you make one before choices make you. Helena's eyes go cold. We're leaving, she says. She pushes back her chair, the sound sharp as a slap on the quiet floor. Robert stands slower. He touches the pen like it might bite. He looks at me. For a second, I see a man who used to clap at my school plays with both hands. The image flickers. I can't, he says softly. You won't, I say. That's different. They walk out. The door closes with an office soft click that still feels like a door slammed. Mara exhales. That's your answer, she says. We'll put our own in writing. She drafts a letter while we wait. Formal, measured. It outlines the facts, the laws at stake, the steps already taken by the bank, and the consequences of continued misuse. We'll courier it, she says. Make sure receipt is documented. Theo leans back, eyes on the harbor print. That was quieter than I expected, he says. That's because we stopped performing for their script, I answer. They only know how to play if we clap. Outside, the day has brightened to a plain, stubborn blue. The street smells like bread baked a decade ago and new rain. We walk to our cars without saying much. The silence isn't tense. It's relief. By evening, the cousins' chat pings like popcorn. Mira. Heard there was a meeting. How'd it go, Patricia? Your mother is devastated. Theo, boundaries are not attacks. I post a single sentence, a formal letter has been sent. I add nothing else. It's enough. Sunday morning, Helena pivots to spectacle. A long post on social about honor. A tagged photo of a charity luncheon. The comment, some people don't understand sacrifice. I watch the likes collect like lint. I don't bite. I tape a single page to my door right at eye level. I am not your plan. Packing accelerates. Mateo builds a schedule. Noor runs a label factory. Harrison ferries Violet's overnight bag back and forth as if carrying evidence of a decision stronger than habit. An obstacle I don't plan for arrives gentle and unexpected. Mrs. Klein knocks one afternoon holding a Tupperware of banana bread and guilt. Her hair is set. Her voice trembles. Lena, dear, she says I need to apologize. Come in, I say. She sits on the edge of my chair like a bird choosing a branch. Your mother asked me to notarize a few things months ago, she says. I stamped without you present. She said you were in the car. She said you were in a hurry. I knew better. Tears collect at the crest of her lower lashes. I've been sick about it since Theo said there might be trouble. My throat tightens. Thank you for telling me, I say. Would you be willing to put that in writing? She nods. I already did. She hands me a letter in neat, careful script. I notarized a document without the signatory present. I was told she had consented. If I am called, I will tell the truth. It's not vindictive, it's a correction. When she leaves, I place her letter on the table beside the binder. The pile looks less like ammunition and more like a map out. Monday, I hand in my badge. Priya hugs me in the hallway. You were never just what they took from you, she says. You were what you built while they did it. I know, I say, and I do. That afternoon, Theo texts a photo letter delivered, signed receipt by Robert. Beneath it, a screenshot of an email from Mara to Helena's new counsel, someone with crisp stationery and a taste for billable hours. We're happy to provide our evidence packet. We remain open to a civil resolution. Helena's response, forwarded by Theo, is what I expect and still hate to see. We deny everything. Lena is unstable. She seeks attention. Attached a photo of me at 8 missing teeth holding a science fair ribbon. It's always her favorite weapon innocence she can wave to block harm she commits now. Mara replies with 2 scans. Signature card, IP log. She doesn't add adjectives, she doesn't need to. Tuesday at dawn, a for sale sign appears in my parents' yard. Violet drives by and sends me a photo without comment. The house looks smaller under the white post, like someone let the air out. In the window, the lace curtains Helena loves billow as if they can't decide whether to hide or breathe. I expect rage. I feel a quiet sorrow for a place that taught me how to shrink. Then I feel relief for the roof that will no longer be hung over my head like a debt. Midweek. Helena shows up at my building. She doesn't buzz. She waits. I see her from my window, pearls pressed blouse posture like a blade. She texts, "Come down," alone. I don't. I take the stairs to the lobby with Theo and Matteo flanking me like bookends. We stop a respectful distance away. Helena's eyes dart to Theo. This is between me and my daughter. Then speak to your daughter, Theo says, and stays anyway. She looks at me. For the first time in weeks, her voice is small. You're really going? I am. What about us? She asks. Christmas, birthdays, the garden, the things we built. You built a script with my name on it, I say. I'm writing a different one. She swallows hard. We didn't mean to hurt you. You meant to control me, I say. The hurt came free. She reaches into her bag and pulls out a manila envelope. She holds it like something sacred. This is yours, she says and hands it over. Inside my social security card. My birth certificate. A thin gold chain I bought at 16 with babysitting money and haven't seen since college. A photo of me and Violet at the beach sand on our knees, faces sunburned and unashamed. Thank you, I say. I mean it. Helena smooths the edge of her skirt. Your father can't breathe, she says, as if that replaces apology. He thinks you hate us. I don't, I say. The truth startles us both. I don't hate you, Mom. I just won't be used. She opens her mouth, closes it. If you go, she says, don't expect us at your wedding. I'm not asking you to show up for me later, I say. I'm asking you to stop taking from me now. She looks past me to a hallway full of boxes. You'll miss the garden, she says. I'll plant my own, I say. She nods once, abrupt, like a transaction completed without satisfaction. She walks out into the bright, ordinary day. The door's hydraulic sigh sounds like a body releasing a breath it didn't know it held. Matteo exhales. That was not explosive, he says. It was quiet, I say, and final enough. Thursday, we load the truck. It's small, on purpose. If it doesn't fit, it doesn't come. Noor labels each box with a joke. Kitchen spicy math. Books, therapy without copay. Bedroom unlearning. Matteo backs the truck with patient care. Theo brings coffee and a playlist full of songs that pulled him through divorces and drywall projects. Violet arrives with a cardboard tube. Blueprints, she says, grinning. Of your new life. Inside a map to the parks near my future apartment, local bakeries with good bread, a bus route she drew by hand. She slips a sealed letter into my hand. Open in Montana, she says. Even if you don't go through Montana, the idea counts. We are halfway through Tetris when a taxi stops short in front of the building. Robert steps out. No tie, lines deeper. He walks toward us like a man asking for directions he won't take. Lena, he says, can I talk to you alone? Theo looks at me. I nod. We step aside by the hydrangeas someone else watered. Robert rubs the back of his neck, searching for a softer script. I signed the paper, he says. Mara's thing, I signed. The agreement, I ask. He nods. I signed. Your mother wouldn't. He swallows. I sold the Lexus. I canceled the club. The house. He glances toward a horizon only he can see. It needs to go. Okay, I say, not triumph. A sad relief, like putting down a heavy object you chose to carry because someone told you that was love. I failed you, he says. I let your mother lead. I liked it. Too much. It meant I didn't have to make hard choices. I'm sorry. The apology lands differently in his mouth. Slower, without theater. I nod. Thank you, I say. Fix it with your actions. He looks at the truck. Seattle, he says. That was always your kind of sky. It is, I say. He jams his hands in his pockets. If I come to visit someday, do I call first? Yes, I say. And you pay for your own plane ticket. A corner of his mouth lifts the ghost of a laugh. He nods again and turns away. He doesn't hug me. That feels right. Not withheld. Appropriate. By afternoon, the apartment is a clean echo. I leave the keys on the counter with a note for the landlord. Thank you for letting me practice leaving here. I take one last photo of the taped page on my door. I am not your plan. I peel it off and slide it into my folder behind birth certificates and final notices and the small gold chain that found its way home. We pull away. Theo drives the truck. I follow in my car with a plant buckled into the passenger seat because clichés are clichés for a reason. Mateo honks once in goodbye from his open window, hair wild, smile wide. Noor texts a photo of our old office crew with a caption, "We'll keep your chair warm but not for long. Go." As the city thins, my phone buzzes, a message from an unknown number. This is Mrs. Klein's son. My mom gave me your email. She's filing a correction with the notary board. We're sorry. I reply, thank you for doing the right thing. Another ping. Violet a video from a small garden strung with twinkle lights and quiet joy. She turns the camera to Harrison, who waves with a bouquet of grocery flowers raised like a flag. We set a date, she says. Small, honest. If you want to come, we'll save a chair. If you don't, we'll FaceTime you after with cake. I watch the clip twice, then 3 times. I text back, save me a slice. I might be on a mountain, but I'll call. The highway opens. The sky goes full canvas. My car hums at a speed that feels like choice. In the rear view, the life I was handed shrinks to a postcard. Ahead, Seattle waits with rain and jobs in a harbor whose masts look like lines drawn by a patient hand. Somewhere after the state line, I pull into a rest stop that smells like pine and diesel and cinnamon rolls. I open Violet's letter because it's not Montana, but it's Montana enough. Her handwriting loops like ours did in middle school, only steadier. Lena, it says. You are the first person I've loved who taught me that love without consent is not love. I'm learning to choose. I'm sorry for how much I let happen on my behalf. I will pay what I can where I can, and I will not ask you again. When you get to Seattle, buy a plant with ridiculous leaves and name it after yourself. It's what you deserve, something living that takes up space and the light. V. I fold the letter. I watch the sky turn a color that would look fake in paint. I get back on the road. By the time the sun falls, my phone buzzes one more time. Mara Robert signed. We have receipt. Our letter stands. If Helena or anyone acting on her behalf attempts further access, we proceed with formal action. Rest. The wall holds. I don't cry. I don't fist pump. I do what I've been doing for weeks now that feels like the bravest thing. I keep driving in the lane I chose. The night grows. The truck taillights in front of me become 2 red commas in a long new sentence. Every mile marker clicks like a metronome. Somewhere a radio station fades and another one finds me. I let it. I can switch. I can choose. Tomorrow I'll see water that isn't a metaphor. I'll sign a lease with windows that face a sky that rains and clears like a person learning to feel. I'll start a job that pays me for the map I can see in messy numbers. I'll buy a plant with leaves so big it startles me when I walk by. Tonight, the road holds. The sky stays wide. The quiet confrontation behind me keeps being quiet. Dot. We reach Seattle at noon, the sky washed silver. Theo parks the truck beside a pier where gulls argue over nothing. The air tastes like salt and rain. Water flares with small waves. Masts tick. I feel my ribs loosen. My new apartment sits 3 blocks from the harbor on a hill that forgives legs slowly. The building is a rectangle of brick with a blue door and a mail slot that doesn't bite. The landlord hands me keys and a list of trash days. No drama, no speeches. He shows me the view, a sliver of water, 2 cranes, a ferry, easing out like a promise. It's enough. We carry boxes in quiet loops. Mateo invents new curse words for narrow stairwells and laughs at his own poetry. Noor labels the kitchen fuel lab and the bathroom decompression chamber. Theo measures the windows and mutters about curtains. The plant I buckled into the front seat survives leaves glossy ridiculous. I set it near the light and name it Lenora because Violet told me to name a plant after myself and I'm allowed to be dramatic in chlorophyll. That night, we eat pho on the floor from bowls so hot they fog our cheeks. We clink spoons like friends who've been through something hard and didn't break. Theo sleeps on the sofa, one arm over his face. Noor sets an alarm for sunrise pictures of the bay. Mateo insists on fixing a crooked cabinet door because no one starts a new life with a squeak. Morning opens with fog. The water outside my window looks like it's thinking. Noor snaps 10 photos and makes the light look intentional. Theo leaves at 8, hugging me hard enough to reset my spine. Mateo drives the empty truck east. I stand alone in a room that echoes and breathe in the quiet. It doesn't accuse me. It doesn't ask for anything. It holds. I report to Harbor North Analytics on Monday, wearing a navy blazer that makes me brave. The lobby smells like coffee and new carpet. The receptionist, Jaya, prints my badge without asking me to smile twice. HR hands me a laptop and a packet. My manager, Aiden, greets me with a question that surprises me by not hurting, "What do you need to do your best work?" "Clear priorities," I say. A honest timeline. A whiteboard. "You'll have them by noon," he says. He means it. My desk sits by a window that frames cranes water the line of a ferry like chalk. I build credentials. I open repositories. I map data flows on a digital canvas until the system inside my head matches what I can make on screen. Aiden swings by with a mug. "We use green when something's stable," he says, pointing at my diagram. "Red when it's on fire, yellow when it depends." "I've lived entire years in yellow," I say. He nods like he understands more than I explained. At lunch, a woman named Hyejin invites me to a table where 3 engineers argue amiably about unit tests, like they're discussing a movie. They ask where I'm from. I answer without defensive jokes. "Austin," I say. "I left on purpose." "Welcome," Hyejin says. No follow-up questions. A kindness that's also skill. That first week, my brain hums at a frequency that feels clean. I build a pipeline that unknots a backlog that was embarrassing someone. It runs on schedule. I write a doc so clear a new hire could stand on it. People say thank you. They don't call me the steady one. They call me by my name. I send Violet a photo of my desk plant and the view. She sends back a picture of her breakfast sandwich eaten sitting on a moving box. "First meal in our tiny place," she writes. "We're learning to live in one room without losing each other." Harrison holds up a spatula in the background like a sword against chaos. In my second week, Aiden invites me to the harbor for a one-on-one. We walk along the pier, paper cups warming our hands. Boats bob like punctuation. He keeps pace with me without making it a dance. "You're fast," he says. "And precise. People breathe easier when you talk. That's rare." "Thank you," I say. Praise lands differently when it isn't a preface to a request. "Anything you don't want to carry from your last gig?" he asks. "Hero work," I say, "saving a sprint by burning a person." "We don't do that here," he answers. "If we're burning, we fix the system, not the human." I memorize the sentence. I will use it again. At home, I line the window with small, cheap frames, photos that don't lie. Diane on a video call holding a mug that says "Difficult women get things done." Theo in a flannel at a hardware store holding completely unnecessary string lights. Mateo outside my old building saluting a final trash bag like a flag. Noor on a rooftop at golden hour, making the entire city look like it asked for forgiveness and meant it. Violet under a maple tree with the kind of smile that doesn't ask for permission. I hang the page I peeled off my old door inside the new one, I am not your plan. It looks less like defiance and more like a reminder to the part of me that loves to volunteer for fires. 4 weeks in, I make my first payment on my own student loans without also paying anyone else's anything. The app congratulates me with confetti. I screenshot it. I send the image to Theonore and Violet. 3 celebratory gifts come back. Theo texts, "Confetti is the true ledger." I buy a used bike. On Saturdays, I ride to the market where the flower vendors tell jokes and the salmon guy calls everyone captain. I buy a bouquet of ranunculus in a loud orange that Helena would call unflattering. I put them in a chipped vase on my table, and they shout in sunlight all week. I join a hiking group because my therapist— yes, hello, I have one now. Her name is Dr. Quinn, and she is both gentle and allergic to nonsense. Says I need to do hard, joyful things with my body that have nothing to do with carrying other people. The first trail nearly seats me on a rock with my hands on my knees, but a woman named Nina, who wears a hat with tiny pine trees on it, walks beside me and tells me where the switchbacks hide. We reach the overlook, and the lake flexes a color that shouldn't be real. I cry without apology. No one mistakes it for weakness. Nina passes me a granola bar like a communion wafer and says, "It sneaks up on you, the freedom." I nod, mouth full heart, stupidly huge. Mara emails quarterly updates receipts, the legal equivalent of a pulse. Robert submits 2 payments toward the $3,500 draw. The letter he signs each time is all sentences, no adjectives. Helena doesn't sign. Her name appears only as a party notified. A wall is a wall, whether or not you compliment it. One evening in late spring, my phone buzzes with a photo from Violet, a simple white dress, a bouquet of grocery daisies, shoes that won't make her mean by hour 3. Tomorrow, she writes, small, honest, exactly what we want. We'll FaceTime you after cake. I stare at the image until it blurs. I wasn't ready to fly back. I told her I needed this season to root. She said that was fair. She didn't make her joy a debt I owed. That too is a gift. The next day after the ceremony, my screen fills with faces. Violet and Harrison stand under string lights. A backyard hum spreads behind them. A friend holds the phone and cries more than anyone else. "We did it," Violet says, laugh wet. "We didn't invite pressure." "You look like yourself," I say. She smiles this time with no question marks. Harrison lifts a small slice of cake toward the camera like a toast. To sisters who choose boundaries, he says, then grins. And to siblings by marriage who learn fast. They ask me to say something. I don't make a speech. I never liked them. I speak plain. May your ledger show what you built, not what you bled. They both say yes at the same time, and we laugh. After the call, I walk to the water. A ferry slides past deck full of people who look like dots that decided to move. I think of the ledger I kept, the binders, the tabs. Necessary, saving, heavy. Then I think of the harbor, how it doesn't hold boats forever. It readies them to leave. I promised myself I would be both when needed. I can be a ledger for my own truth. I can be a harbor for my own rest. I can choose when I'm one or the other. I don't need to be everybody's anything. In June, Aiden calls me into a conference room with too many chairs and one small plant. "You're up for lead on the Whitcomb migration," he says. "It's political but solvable. You'll need to say no without a smile." "I can do that," I say. He knows I can. We kick off with stakeholders who talk in dollar signs and panic. I listen. I diagram. I say, this is possible, and that timeline isn't. I don't apologize for reality. Midway, a senior director tries to wedge a pet feature into the sprint. I say no. It breaks the model. The room waits for a flinch. None comes. The director nods. We move on. That night I walk home past the marina. A couple argues softly about whether to buy lemons. A teenager plays a trumpet badly but with heart. A dog drags its person toward something only they can smell. The sky stays light too late the way northern places do. I send a picture of the water to Theo. He replies, "Look at my kid narrating a sky." I laugh alone, and it isn't lonely. Helena emails once in July. Subject garden. Body. The peonies came in late. The Hendersons asked about you. There is a photo of pale, extravagant flowers that used to be my favorite until they became a scorecard. I stare at the image. I reply with a single sentence. I like ranunculus now. She doesn't answer. It feels right. Some conversations close without slamming. Robert texts twice that month. The first sent payment. The second, I'm taking a class on Excel at the community center. Not as scary as I thought. I send a thumbs up and a link to a playlist called Learning is Loud. He replies, "This one slaps because he's trying, and it's funny." Mrs. Klein sends a note with a photo of her garden gnome holding a tiny "I'm sorry" sign. It's ridiculous and sincere. I put it on my fridge. Shame is useful only when it becomes change. Hers did. Sometime in August, Theo visits. He stands by my window with his hands in his pockets and his heart on his sleeve. "You really did it," he says. "You built a harbor out of binders." "I built a harbor out of people," I say. He points at the frames, nods, then points at my chest. And out of this, he says, "We drive to the coast. Waves knife under a sky that can't decide. We eat too many fries." He tells me a story about his first apartment after his divorce, a place that smelled like someone else's soup. "I learned to make my own soup," he says. Free advice salt early. I write it down because this is the kind of wisdom I will need on a cold Sunday. Fall finds me lighter and stronger. I keep a ledger, but not of debts. It's a notebook with a blue cover and a habit of honesty. Each page holds 3 columns: what I gave, what I kept, what I asked for. I fill it weekly. Sometimes the first column is long because friendships need that. Often the second is longer because balance isn't an apology. The third column keeps me honest. People who don't ask can still receive. People who only give can still drown. On a Tuesday in October, an email pings from Mara. Subject resolution. Helena's counsel proposes a settlement statement, repayment schedule, confirmed banknotes, updated acknowledgement of unauthorized activity signed by Robert, recognized by spouse. It's not an apology. It is paper. I accept. Mara replies with a sentence that makes me smile. The wall remains. The gate is optional. Violet and Harrison come visit in November. We walk the market. We buy apples that taste like they remember being trees. We cook pasta in my small kitchen and spill sauce on the stove, and don't treat it like sin. Violet stands at my window and watches fairies pull lines. "You were right," she says. "Distance does not unlove. It reveals." We talk about our parents, not as villains, as people with tools they used for too long. Violet cries once when she tells me Helena texts her photos of hydrangeas with captions that read like obituaries for a future she wanted. We sit with that. We don't fix it. We are not repair shops. We are women with small spoons and big work. On their last day, we find a plant with leaves so big it looks like a joke. Violet names it Captain. We put it next to Lenora. They lean toward the light like it's the only rule they respect. Winter arrives with rain that fattens into dusk early. I buy a bright yellow raincoat that makes me look like a traffic cone and a main character. I walk anyway. I don't apologize for umbrellas. My first performance review at Harbor North lands clean exceeds elevates, protects the system. Aiden adds a raise he says is owed, not gifted. I forward the note to Priya with a thank you because she trained my spine. She writes back, "I knew this version of you would come out like a good algorithm when the parameters changed." In December, Theo sends a photo of the house on my parents' street with new paint and a young family on the porch holding a baby wrapped like a burrito. The lace curtains are gone. The hedges are lower. I cry for 8 seconds and then breathe. Homes leave us as we leave them. It's fair. Christmas is noodles and friends. Noor brings a cake with data points in frosting. Mateo wears a sweater with LEDs that blink out 00110011. Diane appears on a screen with a tree in her kitchen and a laugh that still shakes like bells. Theo sits on my rug and falls asleep halfway through a movie because the couch is soft and the years were hard. On New Year's Day, I write a note to myself and tape it to the inside of my closet. Build slow. Pay cash and attention. I don't make resolutions. I make rules a life can hold. Helena sends a card in January. Just a photo of snow on the old garden, the peony bed, a white hill. No caption. I set it on my desk like a weather report, not my storm to shovel. In February, I pay off another chunk of my loan. I take a picture of the remaining balance. I print it. I fold it into my wallet behind my ID, not as a shame as a compass. I touch it when I'm about to say yes to something that smells like an old debt with a new name. Spring again. The harbor throws light in little knives. I run my hand along the railing and feel the city's pulse. Harbor North asks me to mentor a new analyst named Jules, who thinks in loops and apologizes for good questions. I teach them the sentence Aiden gave me. We say it before big weeks. If we're burning, we fix the system. We write it on a post-it. We mean it. One Saturday, a message arrives from an unknown number. This is Helen. She has never signed with her full name. She has never texted without a layer. I stare at the words. I wait an hour. Then I open the message. We're moving to a smaller place. Robert wants you to have the piano. I laugh out loud. The piano is an upright with keys that stick and a bottom octave that sounds drunk. I learned to play 2 songs on it and cried into the lid at 16 when I realized math would rescue me faster than music. I write back, "Thank you. I can't take the piano. I don't have the space. Donate it to a school. Or sell it and pay a bill." She replies with a period. That's all. It feels like a truce someone drew in pencil. I meet Nina from hiking for coffee. She asks about my mother. I say she exists. Nina nods. That's the right size of answer. Violet emails a spreadsheet. This is real love with her budget for the quarter. She includes a line item called relearning, and it's $20 for a library card and $50 for a pottery class. She writes, I could call it self-care. I prefer maintenance. I grin. We're related again in ways that don't require blood tests. 1 year to the week after I first set down that binder on the mahogany table, I stand at my own efficient, unpretentious table and lay down a new one. It's thin. It's for me. I open it to a page titled Ledgers I Keep. There are 3 lists. 1. What I owe myself. Sleep. Good bread. Friendships that don't invoice. Belief I didn't steal. 2. What I refuse. Forged signatures. Secrets called love. Budgets that require my silence. 3. What I offer freely. Clarity. Help with rules attached. Laughter even when a day was heavy. I photograph the page and send it to Violet. She replies with a picture of her own lined paper and 3 lists that mostly match. We are not twins. We are not opposites. We are 2 people on the same map in different squares waving. Later, I walk to the water and sit on a bench that hates comfortable people. A ferry comes in slow, dignified, as if it knows everyone is watching. I think of that first dinner when my hand strangled a glass, and my mother wrote the rest of my life on a napkin and handed it to me without a pen. I think of the safe and the code that belonged to me and the day we used it. I think of the bank lobby and the cold air and Aisha's calm and how the world didn't end when I said no. It rearranged. A gull screams at nothing. A couple takes turns taking photos. I text Theo I'm at the harbor. Tell me something true. He writes back, boards don't rot when you sand them. People don't either. I laugh. It's therapy in flannel. Back home, I water Lenora and Captain. I rotate their pots because the light comes in crooked. I watch them reach. I put on a song that sounds like Future and cook eggs for dinner because I'm an adult and no one is here to perform scarcity. The doorbell rings once. I peer through the hole. A courier. He holds a small parcel stamped from a law office in my old city. I sign. Inside a single sheet. Release of claims regarding the HELOC and the POA. Helena's name appears. Not a signature. An acknowledgement typed by a paralegal and initialed by Robert. It reads, all parties agree that no future accounts shall be opened or maintained in the name of Lena M. Halpern without her explicit written consent. It's not sorry. It is the line I needed. I place it behind my lists. I do not frame it. I do not burn it. I let it be what it is, a door that stays shut unless I open it. I sit at my window and watch evening arrive in layers. Lights blink on across the water like signals that mean we're still here. I message Noor a photo and write, I made it to the part where quiet is gentle. She replies, now make a mess on purpose sometime. I promise I will. So here's where I leave you, not on a cliff but at a shoreline. I used to believe a family ledger is a record of what we owe. Now I think it's a record of what we learned while we were paying attention. I learned that help without consent is theft dressed in Sunday clothes. I learned that paper can be a shield when speaking feels like shouting into weather. I learned that a harbor isn't a place you stay forever. It's where you learn your boat and your hands and your sky. If you've been the steady one, the quiet one, the flashlight holder, consider this your permission slip. Put the flashlight down. Let people stand in their own night long enough to know which stars are theirs. You are not cruel for stepping back from a script that only cast you as scaffolding. You can be the building. You can be the person who ruins a family myth by telling the truth and then cooks eggs and waters plants and learns a new bus route. I still have hard days. I still check locks twice when old fear pretends to be caution. I still want to fix for sport. When that happens, I open my blue notebook and fill the columns. What I gave, what I kept, what I asked for. Numbers don't judge. They just tell the story you're brave enough to see. Violet calls at least once a week. Sometimes she cries in a grocery aisle because grief ambushes even when you're buying peaches. Sometimes we laugh about Harrison's attempts at sourdough. Sometimes we spend 10 minutes on the phone saying nothing together while the kettle boils in 2 cities. Robert texts photos of his Excel homework with too many borders. I send tutorials and don't grade him on curve or curve my love into a loan. Helena sends occasional weather reports with flower pictures and captions so bare they can't do harm. We exist. It's not a reconciliation story. It's a boundary story. Both can be true and can be enough. You asked for the end. There isn't one, not the kind endings are famous for. There is this: a woman at a window with a plant named like a joke, a job that pays for the life she chose, a sister who picked herself without permission, an uncle who answers on the first ring, a neighbor who brings tape and doesn't keep score, a notary who wrote a letter, a banker who said, "Wall a lawyer who speaks in ink," and a harbor, always a harbor. The water breathes, the cranes wait, a ferry eases out. My city does not know my name and loves me anyway. I open the notebook. I balance the week. I put my pen down and my hands in my pockets and walk toward the corner store for milk because I am out and because this is what a life is when you are not someone else's plan. Small errands, honest ledgers, a sky you don't apologize for wanting. Tell me if you're still here and you've held a flashlight too long. What would you put in your 3 columns? What belongs in what I owe myself? What gets cut from what I refuse? What brave ask belongs in what I offer freely? Drop it below. I'll read. I'll root for you like a person who knows boats and ledgers and the way a harbor looks when you finally sail out on your own wake.